The Soundpiece Watch 2 has amazing battery life. But should you buy it or just watch this video and save yourself some money? Goedendag, we're DHRME. Dentists hate repeated molar extractions. Don't think that's true.
This isn't Soundpeace's first smartwatch, but when we saw the price tag of $60, we're not gonna lie, our expectations dropped instantly. Let's break this down using DHRME: design, health and fitness, the rest of the features, the ecosystem, and finally, making the buying decision. You know it's cheap because of the price tag and because we just told you. But if someone saw it on your wrist, would they be able to tell? Let's start with design. We've got to say it doesn't look bad. It's got a sleek form factor, not bulky at all. So perfect for you cuff sliders out there. It's about 50% heavier than the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 40mm we have over here. But to be honest, we didn't notice it at all. The diameter of the case is 45mm, so it does wear bigger, especially with those protruding lugs. The silicone strap has plenty of notches for all wrist sizes, and the keeper has a bit of branding on it too. Whatever the dimensions may be, it wears comfortably, and we think that's most important. We dare say even more comfortable than the Skagen Falster Gen 6, especially when you wear it to bed. But more on that later.
The moment you fire up this watch, things start taking a turn for the worse. And that's got a lot to do with the display quality. The resolution is 240 by 240 pixels, whereas the Galaxy Watch 4 is like 396 by 396. Yes, the Galaxy Watch 4 costs 3 times as much, but it gives you an idea where Soundpeats have cut corners. And speaking of cutting corners, the display on the unit we have is ever so slightly misaligned. Something we noticed at the start but almost forgot about afterwards. There's no way to tweak the display resolution, only the screen brightness. It gets reasonably bright but not super bright with a peak brightness of about 200 nits, and visibility outdoors is fine. But you know what they say, with low resolution comes great battery life. Well, okay, we say that. And that's no joke on the Watch 2. They promise a whole week, and that's a legitimate claim. A godsend after having to charge the Galaxy Watch 4 or this Skagen watch every single day. The way you charge it is like most smartwatches. These days, it's with a proprietary magnetic charger. It fast charges to 50% in 30 minutes and 100% in around 2 hours. But, and this is a huge freaking biggest ass but, the Soundpeats Life app is a battery drainer. In this screenshot, you see that the Samsung and Soundpeats app have been running for the same amount of time, but the Soundpeats used up 7 times more battery. Not cool, Soundpeats, not cool at all. Back to the watch's display. That font, oh damn, the 80s call and they want their dot matrix printer back. It's horrendous, but those printers probably had great battery life, so we guess it makes sense.
The watch has a touchscreen and a crown, and that's something we kind of like about the watch. It's easy to use and you get the hang of it pretty quickly. The crown functions as a back button, but you can swipe from the left edge too if you want. Unfortunately, you can't use the crown to scroll, which we generally like on a smartwatch, so you'll need to drag those greasy fingers across the screen to scroll. But you can use the crown to wake and sleep the screen. You can also lift your wrist to wake the screen, but unfortunately no tap to wake. But if you're still awake, tap that like button. Really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Like we said, the user interface is pretty straightforward. Swipe from the top gives you some basic information like battery life and a couple of quick settings, like adjusting the screen brightness. There is a find your phone feature which will ring or vibrate your phone. A perfect hack for when your significant other thinks you spend too much time on YouTube and tries to hide your phone. We got your back, guys and girls. You can also access more settings and an option to put the watch into sleep mode. Something we use when hopping into bed so that the screen doesn't randomly wake up and only does so if you push the crown. You push the crown and bed? No, this is not a video on how to deliver a baby.
And that's it. You can swipe to the right or left. Doesn't really matter because it's a carousel of different tiles. You get to see your basic fitness stats, the weather based on your current location, heart rate, monitor, a blood oxygen saturation monitor, and if you need a moment to breathe. Unfortunately, none of these tiles can be customized, so you're stuck with what Soundpeats gives you. And you can't interact with most tiles either, so it's just for a quick glance of certain information. When you hold down on the watch face, you can change your watch face, but if you want to add more, you'll need to do that from the Soundpeats Life app. after giving it 1,000,000 permissions, which does make sense since a smartwatch needs a lot to give you the most it has to offer. There are quite a few watch faces to choose from, but none of them is customizable in terms of complications. You can make a custom one by picking your own background image and font color. If you swipe from the bottom, you've got your list of apps. You'll need to head into there if you want to access the health and fitness features. You get a heart rate monitor, which has become as mainstream as a step counter these days on wearables. The Galaxy Watch 4, which we consider quite an accurate device for health monitoring. Check out this video for more on that. It also comes with an SpO2 monitor, which measures the blood oxygen saturation. You want to have this at above 90% because it measures how well your body is able to absorb the oxygen that you breathe in. A low SpO2 may affect your lungs, heart, and overall health. This SpO2 monitor has been varying from anywhere between 1 to 4 percentage points compared to the Galaxy Watch 4, and this is a lot of variance for blood oxygen saturation, so not the best in terms of accuracy.
And if you're a big fan of a good night's rest like I am, then you'll be happy to hear that sleep tracking is on board. Don't expect too much though, because it'll only measure how long you've slept for and how much of it was deep versus light sleep. Comparing sleep tracking with the Galaxy Watch 4, the numbers were way off. I usually get under 1 hour of deep sleep on the Watch 4, whereas the Soundpeats said I got way more. I wish. And if you're a big fan of working out, then you've got some options. Emphasis on some here. If you basic and do walking, running, football, etc., then you're fine. But if you fancy and you do racket sports or golf or chess, then you're out of luck and there isn't even an other option which you normally get on alternative watches. So when I played squash...
Oh, he fancy!
Yeah. So when I played squash, I decided to track it by selecting basketball. But the only thing that was dribbling was the sweat down the side of my face. I guess it's a good thing that the Watch 2 is IP68, meaning it can take quite a bit of dribble as well as dust. So you're good for more outdoorsy workouts, but we wouldn't recommend swimming with it because it doesn't come with an ATM rating. But coming back to that squash game, I also wore the Galaxy Watch 4 to compare, and the results were different. Again, the average heart rate was 130 beats per minute on the Soundpeats, which was lower than the 151 beats per minute on the Samsung. Even the calories burned measured less on the Soundpeats at 354 kilocalories versus 437 kilocalories. So I tested it on a walk and saw that the Soundpeats now had a higher heart rate compared to the Samsung, but consistently measured a lower amount of calories burned. So not very consistent in terms of heart rate monitoring, except for the distance and step count. But then again, those aren't exactly rocket science in 2022. When at rest and just sitting at my table, I get much closer results on both the Soundpeats and Samsung. I guess Soundpeats is more suitable for sports like chess? The Soundpeats Watch 2 isn't your pick if you're after accurate tracking, but only the odd workout tracking for spec and bona. Another thing that surprised us was that you can see your workout record on the watch, but there's no historical record of workouts in the app.
Yes, there is an app and gives a few basic activity stats for the day only. And you can see a graph across time of heart rate or your blood oxygen saturation, as well as how you performed in bed in terms of sleep. You can also track a run, walk, or cycle ride from the app, which will include a map if you're into that. And you can use the app to tweak a few things to the watch. Things like turning on notifications and which apps you want to allow notifications from. More on that later though. You can also set a do not disturb schedule. You're going to need this because that sleep mode toggle in quick settings doesn't block notifications. And you need the app to set an alarm. What? Why can you not do this on the watch itself? Anyway, there are a few basic other settings that you can see here. All in all, you've probably noticed that this isn't a Wear OS device, so it won't have the latest and greatest that Google has to offer, like an App Store for example, or even syncing your fitness data to Google Fit. You're stuck with what Soundpeats gives you. The watch, however, does work with both iPhone and Android.
Even though it works on both, you won't have a voice assistant either. Now, we thought this wouldn't be a big deal, but any voice assistant, even if it's just Bixby on Samsung, is actually pretty useful. You don't value it until you don't have it. It's super handy for the odd timer or reminder. Another handy feature is usually wearing a smartwatch to bed for the alarm feature, because it gently vibrates your wrist and your significant other will be grateful too. It's there on the watch too, but you'll need to set your alarm from the app like we said before. Let's talk about calls and notifications. If you give the watch permission, you can see if someone is calling you, but you need to pick up the call on your phone. But a feature that's great on paper but fails in reality is notifications. Yes, you can get notifications on the watch And yes, you can configure exactly which apps can send you notifications. Sounds great so far, but another big but. The amount of information you can see in the notifications is very limited. You can only view and remove the notification from the watch, no other ways of engaging with it. And every time you get a notification, the vibration is very prominent and dragged out. There's no possibility of changing the intensity in the app or on the watch.
We're not done yet, we're just getting started. The worst part is that even though you don't have a new notification, it tends to vibrate quite randomly because it sees certain persistent apps in your notification shade as a new notification. For example, a Google information card about the weather or the Samsung Health app showing your updated step goal. Super annoying because you keep checking your watch or phone thinking you've got a new notification. And this carries through to, for example, using Google Maps. A notification for every turn direction. I was driving and my left wrist was vibrating so much that I took the watch off and threw it onto the empty seat next to me. The Watch 2 does have music controls which work fine with Spotify or YouTube Music for track controls and volume. But, and you may have guessed it, for every changed track, your wrist is reminded again.
Well, on that note, should you part with your $60 for the Soundpeats Watch 2? If you're after a decent looking smartwatch which delivers in the battery life department, then sure, go for it. For all other reasons, you shouldn't. It's great to see Soundpeats try their hand at something else than audio, but except for long battery life, there are no features that stand out for the Watch 2 to be able to recommend it. The health and fitness features are bare bones and disappoint in terms of consistency and accuracy in measurements. The hardware is decently built, but that screen is nothing to write home about. There's no integrated ecosystem and the app is a weak offering. And those notifications, yeah, I think we ranted about that enough. What would we suggest? Well, if you are willing to spend more, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. But if you want to stay within the same budget, take a look at the Xiaomi Mi Band 6. Yes, it's a fitness band and not a watch, but purely on specifications and display quality, it wins out for us. We've done a review on that as well, and it ticks a lot of boxes and saves you money in the process. You've been watching Audio People trying to do smartwatches, and we've been DHRME. Namaste.
Oh, he fancy. 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 That's enough fancy.